Ladies and gentlemen, we are taking on Patchwerk with Druid, and this will buy us an extra turn. We coin that out straight away. Then we have 2 1-drops. We'll get rid of Bluegill Warrior. He's not that good. Get a little bit of heal, but we'll need 1 more heal to have any chance of winning this. Yeah, we're gonna save ourselves 1 turn of damage by oozing out an ooze, by coining out an ooze. Come on. Oh, why it took so long to think about that. Interesting. We do need a little bit of extra heal though to buy us another turn. There's the weapon. It's going to be difficult to get this guy out because we oozed it and gave it 2 more charges. Oh, really? Interesting.
More training.
We can also just armor up to buy ourselves an extra turn. I think this is more valuable. Yep, the hateful strikes begin. Bite will buy us an extra turn. So I think doing it through armoring up is more worthwhile. So shooting his weapon means that he has to replay it and cannot hateful strike. And we have Savage Roar to combo with the Giant. So we'll have 8, 10, 12, 14, 17 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 12 is enough. I believe we win with our Savage Roar.
For the wild.
More training.
Let's heal up a little. That's Patchwerk, downed with Druid. Let's take a look at the deck. So here's the deck. It is basically has 2 themes. Play lots of cheap minions so that you can kind of get maximum DPS or damage per second out of it. The thing is, his hero power is so strong, you don't want to spend 4 mana playing a big guy that just gets 1 shot. We'll explain why Molten Giant's an exception. He actually ends up being free anyway, so he still fits into the cheap category. So you want to play as many cheap guys as possible, so that you're doing a lot of damage, and when he uses his hateful strike, it doesn't really reduce your damage output that much. The other thing you want to do is just stall. So we have Healing Touch, Voodoo Doctors heal a little bit, Bite can essentially heal, gets you 1 extra turn. Let's go through the cards quickly now and actually get into the details. Your basic vanilla cheap minion is a 2 attack for 1 mana, because you can flood the board with lots of them, and 2 attack is kind of the most you can get for a 1 mana creature. So Abusive Sergeant is great because he also gives something else a +2 attack, so you want to use that as much as possible and play him after you already have stuff out. Shield Bearer dies, but he's a 1 mana minion that buys you an extra turn if you get him out, because he gets you from 30 health to 34, so he'll now need 5 turns to kill you instead of 4. He buys you a partial turn in that adding him with other stuff that can buy you a turn, like a Voodoo Doctor, doesn't buy you a full turn. That's still just 1 turn you've bought, not 2. Southsea Deckhand is a 2-1, Voodoo Doctor is a 2-1 that restores 2 health, play 2 of them, and you've bought yourself an extra turn. Worgen Infiltrators are 2-1s. Young Dragonhawks are essentially 2-1s and combo really nicely with Savage Roar if you get to pull that off. Young Priestesses are a 2-1. You really don't care about the extra health they're giving. Acidic Swamp Ooze can buy you a turn if you coin it out, because he won't have enough mana to replay the weapon. I'm really surprised, I have to say, that the weapon's Death Rattle puts it in his hand and doesn't re-equip it, because that would make things like Acidic Swamp Ooze useless. If you coin it out on turn 1, he can't attack for a turn, so that saves you a turn. It can also be paired with Molten Giant. We'll talk about why when we get to Molten Giant. So it has some uses. It's not an amazing card given he gets the weapon back, but it can pair well if you use it intelligently. Coining it out is the best time, or when you play something big like a Molten Giant. Bluegill Warrior is a 2-1 that strikes first, so it's kind of like playing 2-2-1s. Murloc Tide Hunters summons 2 creatures, so it's like playing 2-1 drops, but only uses 1 card, so that's pretty nice. Healing Touch is usually what you absolutely want to draw into. It buys you a whole turn. Savage Roar is a finisher. If you do have, 4 or 5 creatures out, it can win you the game when you're down to having 1 life left. Cold Light Oracle is a little expensive mana-wise, but ends up being really good. His battle cry is deal 3 damage to the enemy, because even though he doesn't draw cards at the end automatically at the beginning of each turn, he does take fatigue if you force him to draw. So it's deal 3 damage to the enemy and draw 2 cards to draw into things you might need, like Healing Touch, or finishes like Savage Roar. And if you get a second one, his battle cry is deal 7 damage to the enemy and draw 2 cards. Bite buys you a partial turn. Healing Touch buys you a full turn, in that it buys you a full turn, and then any of your other things which buy you a partial turn buy you a whole nother turn. So, why do we have Molten Giants in here? Doesn't he just one-shot them? So you're relying on the fact that when his weapon is either oozed or runs out of charge, it goes into his hand, it doesn't get re-equipped straight away. He will always replay it rather than using Hateful Strike. So if you have played a Healing Touch and he therefore runs out his weapon, and it gets put back in his hand, and he's not at like 7 mana yet, you can play Molten Giant safely, because he will re-equip for 0. You're presumably down to less than 10 at that point. He will re-equip the weapon and not have enough mana to play Hateful Strike as well, so the Molten Giant will actually survive and get an 8 damage for the 0 mana you casted it at. You can also pair him with Acidic Swamp Ooze in that way. If you get rid of his weapon and he's at little enough mana, he'll replay it and not play Hateful Strike, so you can get Molten Giants out. So these can end up doing a lot of work for you, but you have to use them in the right way. Never just play one where he will Hateful Strike it, unless you have lethal that turns otherwise and want to prevent him from Hateful Striking something else, I guess. Is about the only situation I can think of. But you don't want to just play him to get Hateful Struck for no reason, when you can get a lot more value out of him. So that's the deck. It's fun to play. You obviously need the right draw. You want to basically play 1-drops, get Healing Touches to heal up, play a Molten Giant on the turn where it doesn't die, get another partial heal to save you another turn, and then draw into a Savage Roar to finish it off. That's the ideal game plan. This game we won without a Healing Touch. We had just enough other ways of healing. And that's the deck. It's a lot of fun to play. You need the right draw. Thanks for watching. Good luck if you try it out.